So welcome, Oliver and Will, to today's session on carbon removal for financial services. So I'd like first to ask each of you to introduce yourself, please. Will.
Oh, thank you very much. Hi, I'm Will Foulkes. I'm the CEO of Stabiliti. And at Stabiliti, we are building a globally scalable carbon removal solution. So we have some pretty exciting tech that we think revolutionizes the way that carbon offsets and carbon removal is done at the moment, particularly leveraging the strength of financial institutions. So yeah, excited to tell you all about that. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Will. Oliver, tell us about your role.
Hi, I'm Oliver Rosa, CEO of Globians and also Globiance Pay. Globians is a crypto exchange licensed in many parts of the world already. And Globiance Pay is our second brand, our banking brand. And this is where we want to integrate Stabiliti now.
Very good. Thanks, Will and Oliver, for joining us and tell us more about your partnership. So on my side, André Casterman, I'm founder of Casterman Advisory and delighted to be moderating this panel and getting the news from the very source, from Will and Oliver. So Will, let's start with you. How comes we never heard about carbon removal for financial services so far?
So it's because we made it up. We invented it, and we're very excited to tell you about this. So yeah, we just a little bit more background perhaps on Stabiliti is we need to start removing carbon from our atmosphere on a scale that we are just not equipped to do that at the moment. We need to get to 50 gigatons per year as the UN target by 2050. And we're at a fraction of that at the moment. The main issue is that it's difficult to finance carbon removal at the moment, primarily because of the way that the financing is done, which is in arrears. So businesses look at their carbon debt or their emissions that they've emitted over the last year or 6 months, depending on how active they are. And then they go out and they try and buy a certain number of tons of carbon that has been removed off the shelf to offset that. The issue with that is it's always a cost to the business. And even if we succeeded, which we have done in increasing the trust and transparency with carbon offsets through our technology, while it is always a cost to the business buying it, there will always be a downward pressure on the price. And that has a knock-on effect in terms of the number of projects that are willing to leap into this space, because the barriers to entry are already high. It costs about £300,000 to be verified by Vera, for example, and takes about 3 years or up to 3 years. The barriers to entry on a cost are high, and if the financial return isn't there, then they won't be incentivized to do it. So we looked, how can we try and fix this distribution issue and change the way that carbon offsets are purchased? And the innovative or new way that we're looking at doing that is looking at the micro level. So rather than go at the ton level in arrears, could we do it live and at the gram level? And then if we could do that, then we could offset things like financial transactions and also laptop emissions or computer use. So 22 grams an hour for a laptop, or between 3 and 7 grams for a payment transaction, depending on the number of intermediaries. And the innovation that we had was then, rather than go to our bank and financial institution partners and say, okay, great, we can do this. By the way, it's going to be a big cost to your business still to do it. We said, well, we can partner with you, and we can add by adding a small fee to these transactions. That way, the cost is distributed amongst everyone at a very small level. We can share those fees with you to put towards your own sustainable projects. So effectively harnessing the power and scale of financial institutions and their transactions to start to earn or create revenue or money going into the top of this funnel that is separate from the current market prices of carbon, and basically gets rid of that downward pressure on pricing, which is very exciting, because it then means now we can go to projects and pay them significantly more than what they're currently getting on the market, which of course is the main lever to getting more people to do this.
Excellent, very good. So let's hear from Oliver about Globians, and then I'll ask Oliver also his view about indeed the partnership with Stabiliti. Oliver, tell us about Globians.
Okay. Yeah, as I said before, Globians is a crypto exchange and Globiance Pay is the banking part in the background. So basically we have an integrated platform where you have crypto and banking combined in one. In the near future, we will also join investment management and securities dealing licenses in the package so that you have really an all-round platform where all your financials can happen. We have services for retail, we have services for businesses, we have merchant services like the Globiance checkout, where you can already today replace it with your traditional credit card checkout so that people can handle all the transactions. Everything what can be paid online will be paid on Globiance checkout with crypto. We have also a QR POS, where basically merchants that face their customers still physically can also create a QR code and charge for it, and you just pay with the Globiance app. The same also works in the checkout, so you have your three possibilities. Basically, you can just make a simple crypto transaction to the Globiance checkout page, or you can log in with your Globiance account, or you can just simply use your app and pay with the app. So basically, we are integrating in a lot of new payment, business, and services that helps everyone to do all daily business and transactions within our platform. But also, as you know, since 2018, when we entered crypto, we were always interested to be at the forefront of something new. So working on this cooperation with Stability for us is again a new milestone where we try to become totally carbon negative with what we do. So basically cleaning up the planet while servicing everyone with financial transactions.
Very good. Can you tell us more about, indeed, this partnership? We saw the news on Bloomberg on the 18th of May. Can you tell us about how the partnership will work?
Yes. So for all the transactions that we're doing on a fiat level, we are calculating the volume of transactions and the carbon that we are using, creating these transactions. And basically, we are purchasing the carbon credits, or we are providing funds to Bill to put it in the right projects that work negatively to offset these carbon emissions.
Okay, and when will you start with this process?
We are at the moment at the process of integration talks, so this will start very soon.
Okay, very good. So Will,
there will be an official announcement, of course, once we start counting, and I think we will also integrate a web counter where we can say how many carbon emissions we have already saved and how many tons of carbon we have removed with Will's help.
Very good. Will, can you tell us about whether this is a practice that you're doing also with other financial institutions? Is this the vision you're bringing to the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, I guess financial institutions is quite broad. We're also working with payment providers and basically anyone that is doing transactions we can help. So also loan providers, trade finance, anyone that's in the space that is transacting, we can work with. And yeah, you're right. We have a couple of others, big names that I would need to get their clearance to say. So I'll say a global investment bank, and Europe's largest payment provider, perhaps are two that I could say. But yeah, it's a very new way of doing things, and what Oliver said is quite right. We can track those transactions and then also provide Oliver and Globians with a full audit record. So the key other thing that we're doing, in addition obviously to removing the carbon, is providing comfort to our partners that carbon really is being removed by giving them access to a full audit history of where the carbon is being captured, so that should there be any inquiries in the future as to exactly what they've done, we can provide them with that evidence trail, so they can really say, look, this is what we've done. We're not just talking about it. We really are acting, and here's the proof.
Yes. And I think what we will do in the future, in one of the future episodes that we're planning with you, is we already will send someone from our team over to you so that you can really on the ground show how that looks like. I mean, we're talking here about carbon projects, and maybe many users don't understand still how this could look like. What are you going to do? Are you planting trees? What are the actions that you really do in the field? And we will go out with you and you show us live how this is done.
Definitely.
Get a better understanding how we're cleaning up here.
Yeah, and we can certainly do that. So the majority of our projects, we have projects all over the world, but the ones that we're closest to are, because we're based in the UK, are UK based. So we can show you those, of course. our vision is now, so the final step of our plan to make a globally scalable carbon removal solution is to really put this in the hands of everyone with a phone. So we want one of the big blockers at the moment is that carbon projects usually need to be fairly sizable holdings. So large farms, large landowners, because of the cost to entry are so high. What we are looking to do now is, and we're at the early stages of this, but we're forming some great partnerships, is really everyone with a garden and allowing them to capture carbon and then get paid for it. And because of the technology that we have, we can facilitate micro transactions. So if a few grams of carbon, for example, are emitted on a payment transaction from someone who is making a payment transaction in Bristol, for example, in the UK, well, that could be offset by some trees in someone's garden in Bristol, because a tree will capture something like 65 grams a day, depending on the size of the tree. We could map that to trees local to where the emission sources are. And I mean, no one else is remotely looking at doing it on that kind of level at the moment. So yeah, we're very excited about that.
Okay, so if I got it right, for the purpose of our audience, because it's very new what we're introducing here, with Stability, you're bringing opportunities for contributing to carbon removal initiatives and projects. And with Globiance, you're offering your clients a way to fund those carbon removal projects without, and all of this is completely embedded into the Globiance process. It could be done in an aggregated weekly way. It could be done online, real time, at transaction level. But what we're talking about is really connecting those two worlds, the ones who want to contribute to carbon removal and the ones who are effectively doing it on the ground, and bringing that to this practice to industries that would not be able to do it on their own, basically. Is that a fair summary of how the two innovations are collaborating here?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, pretty much on point.
That's definitely what we want to add to Globiance, is if you work with Globiance and you use their services, you will be directly contributing to carbon removal. That's obviously what I want to say. So
I would expect this is quite an attractive proposition for climate aware generations or people with more financial assets that can contribute more actively to this cause. And I guess the use of technology and blockchain in this case, which we don't need to expand on technically, but I think the trust we can have into the whole end-to-end process comes from some pieces of technology. How do you demonstrate the money is going to the right beneficiary? Maybe.
Absolutely. So yeah, do you want me to speak to that, or whatever? Yeah. So blockchain is so it's a tool at the end of the day. It doesn't solve the world's problems, but it is a very useful tool. You have something called immutability of storage of data, which means that if you store some information onto the blockchain, it will be there forever. Using a technology called the Merkle tree, which I won't go into, but you can think of it like a fly trapped in amber. So if a fly lands on a twig and is covered in amber, over time, the more layers of amber that go over, the harder it is for you to go and interfere with that fly and change its state or make any changes to it. So it's a very strong way of saying that if you record something into our database, later you can be very sure that any changes in the state of that, you'll be able to track it completely over the history of that asset. And so it gives you this end-to-end auditability, as well as all the other things we do in terms of standardizing the way that information is presented, making it more searchable, fractionalizing that asset, and all of those sort of things that is just not possible at the moment with the way that it's done.
Okay, and this is what you will bring to your clients, Oliver, on the app, as we see on the screen here. Can people then track on the app?
It's of course not only on the app, but on our whole ecosystem. Clients can use the web platform, they can use the app, but wherever they do the financial transactions, we will include the carbon removal process with Stability from now on.
Very good. Well, this is fascinating. Thanks a lot for sharing more details on this partnership that was announced on Bloomberg on the 18th of May. And any other information you want to share for our audience before we close?
I think for now we can just look forward to a new version of this podcast where we will then go in details of how the carbon offsets is really done by Stability. That could be our second part. And then we will once more announce when it's really live. And you said, you mentioned that we could do like a weekly or a monthly clearance. I think we will do the weekly rhythm, because that's what we're already doing with our GBEX burns. So every Monday now we are burning the GBEX tokens, and it's like a small ceremony. Users are very happy about it, and it works very well. So we have the Monday for GBEX burns. Maybe we will do the Friday for the carbon offsetting.
That's nice.
So we can fill our week with some good events, and people really like it because they see that something is moving. And I think the same will happen with Stability as well.
Cool. Yeah, obviously we're super excited because Globiance is now a real first mover in this space, and others I'm sure will be leaping on board now. But well done to Oliver and the team for being innovative and taking the leap, because I think we can do something very exciting together. So yeah, I'm keen to get started.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, and I'm sure the Globians community will be indeed happy to follow up on a weekly basis on the contributions of the whole community based on the activity on the crypto exchange or the payment services in the future. And it's quite fascinating to see how blockchain here in this case, both on the Stability side and on the Globiance side, is actually providing this public tracking of those contributions. I can witness it today with the weekly GBEX burns that are tracked on the blockchain on the public XDC network. And if we add this to the, indeed, via Stability on the carbon removal, we're going to win trust thanks to the public disclosure of those weekly or later, maybe daily, we'll see, but a weekly start would be great, of those weekly contributions, because trust has to be one based on facts, and here we have the technology to provide the facts and demonstrate the money is going to the right beneficiary. There is no intermediary in the that is representing a risk on this process. So many thanks, Oliver and Will, for joining us today and for sharing those additional insights with our community, and looking forward to getting you back on the stage in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, André.
Thank you, André.
Merci.
Thank you. Bye-bye.